Hello pilots! Today I saw a video of Atomias mastering an escalation game solo without dying once. It took him several attempts, tried different strategies, and in the end he succeeds. Congratulations from my side! On the one hand, I'm thrilled with his stamina, and on the other hand, he shows very impressive gameplay for me. The link to his video is in the video description. I'm not good at jets, but I wanted to see how far I could go solo in an escalation game without dying. I limited myself to helicopters, which is where I have gained the most experience so far. My idea was to keep as many Elite Chart class corvettes alive and win in the end with the support of the arriving carrier fleet. On the way there, I wanted to put every money I earned into ground troops in the hope that they could exert enough pressure. I wanted to use my standard start with a chicane from SPGA to fight for a basic fortune and achieve the highest possible rank. After I had secured SPGA so far, I would then try to support the attacks on Dust Bowl. Loyal viewers of my channel will already know one or the other attack pattern from me, but I'm quite satisfied with the executions and wish you good entertainment while watching. During the sorties, I try to explain why I do what. Let's go! This time I decided to use a slightly modified loadout. Instead of the ECM jammers I usually carry with me to avoid SAHRs from Vigil K, this time I opted for additional firepower in the form of kingpins. I should be able to avoid the radar detection by simply flying close to the ground, and the kingpins allow me to fight the convoy on the bridge faster. For the 4 tanks I used the ATP-1s as usual. Under the bridge I lock on as many approaching vehicles as possible and shoot at them with AGM-48s from cover. I was able to score a few hits and didn't have to resort to the cannon as usual. After the bridge was secured for the time being, I set off to scout out the enemy outpost. So I flew over the mountains, uncovered enemy positions, but then flew straight on to a linebreaker SAM unit that would otherwise annoy me. There's not much cover on the approach, which is why I had to throw off some flares to avoid incoming IR missiles. After I had a line of sight to the enemy, I fired 2 ATP-1s. One missile would be enough, but ATP-1s fly quite slowly and can be fended off well. After the linebreaker SAM was taken out, I made my way back to the outpost. On the approach to the outpost, I marked the next targets and put myself in a firing position. Unlike the AGM-48s, the ATP-1s cannot be fired well at targets behind cover. So I put the chicane in a position that gave me a line of sight and fired my missiles. One tank survived the attack, so I had to attack it again. Now it was a matter of destroying the departing AFV-6. This is where the kingpins come into play, allowing me to attack the vehicles from a safe distance. Finally, there was a SAM unit and a tank. I was able to target both with a laser and fire the remaining 4 kingpins at the targets. With a bit of luck, that was enough to destroy them, so I could neutralize the rest of the base with a cannon. After all targets had been destroyed, I made my way back to the base. Although they did not pose an acute threat to SPGA at the moment, over time they would fire at the airfield with their AGM-48s. In addition, it is financially very worthwhile to sink corvettes. On approach, I stay close to the ground again and use the mountains as cover. After firing all missiles at the shard, I have to dodge an incoming radar-guided missile from Vigil K. I noticed that none of the shards tried to attack me with missiles. Funny. On the return flight, you have to use the terrain as cover again to avoid enemy fire.
Raise gear.
A short stopover at SPGA and the chicane is fully equipped again. The second shard is a bit more difficult to sink due to lack of cover. At first, a few buildings serve as protection against an incoming missile, but then you have to keep the helicopter close to the water to avoid fire. I managed to fire my missiles unharmed, although I could not avoid a short contact with the water after turning it off. Nevertheless, it was a clean action that enabled me to order more ground troops. It was time to get active on the other side of the map. I set myself the goal of neutralizing the air defenses on the way to Dust Bowl, hoping that Allied forces could build up more pressure there. On the way to my first targets, however, I noticed that 2 enemy tanks were already close to K92 highway strip. I wanted to prevent them from causing damage there or even taking over the strip, so I flew right up to them. An Allied Medusa took out both tanks. I haven't seen that often either. It was then up to me to take out 2 APCs and a recon truck and then turn back to the air defenses at Dust Bowl. The first vehicle depot is guarded by a SAM unit and an anvil. This is to fire AGM-48s from cover at the shortest possible range so that the enemy has no time to react. On the approach, I fired the missiles quite early, because I wanted them to be able to give me cover in case the terrain was unfavorable. The anvil was destroyed, the linebreaker SAM survived the attack. So I followed up again, just to be on the safe side with 2 missiles. I have to confess that the new air defense is always a jump scare. They open fire at the exact moment you spot them, but I managed to avoid major damage to the chicane. While Too Tall was firing at the nearby vehicle depot with a 30mm cannon, I turned my attention to the SAM position. Even the slight unevenness in the terrain allows the chicane to take cover. In order not to waste AGM-48s, I switch to ATP-1s and shoot at the enemy with line of sight. I can continue to fend off incoming missiles with flares. After the SAM positions were destroyed, I was able to take out remaining IFVs to clear the area of the enemy. I don't know why the AI decided it was a good idea to fire a nuclear weapon right next to my position, but okay. At Dust Bowl there was only one aero sentry left, so I tried my luck and fired 2 AGM-48s at it from different angles. To my amazement, I hit the aero sentry and was able to confidently make my way back home. During the match, I tried to delegate the ships a bit. I have ordered 2 shards who initially make their way to SPGA to take up position at Maris Port, so that they can defend each other well and resupply as possible later. On my 4th sortie, I wanted to make sure that the enemy's radar coverage was weakened to the maximum, so I made my way south. Before that, I dropped off some jackknives at K92 highway strip with a Tarantula to repair revetments and vehicle depots. On my approach to the enemy SAM position, which protects the radar station, a dark reach beats me to it. So I turned my attention to the buildings at Dust Bowl. With 12 ATP-1s, it should be possible to destroy 2 helipads and 2 revetments in one fell swoop. I mean, each of these targets require 3 missiles. Since the air defenses at Dust Bowl no longer existed, I was able to fire the missiles from a safe distance. A bolt strike from Centric fired a missile at me, but the terrain provided enough protection for me to dive in peace. I attacked an ammunition truck with an AGM-48, after which I noticed that a cricket had made its way to me. My first IRM S1 was able to fend off the cricket with flares, but the second hit it. I managed to dodge incoming projectiles so that I could keep course for Dust Bowl. I attacked a 23mm position with an AGM-48 and destroyed it. After that, I attacked an ammunition truck, hoping that its explosion would shred some nearby enemies. However, the missile did not hit the target. Feeling safe, I flew closer to Dust Bowl and looked for more targets. When I approached the ammunition truck, a SAM position opened fire on me. It was able to shoot at me before I had uncovered it. Fortunately, I managed to throw flares in time, change my target and neutralized the threat. Another 23mm position opened fire on me and hit my left engine. I tried to keep control and managed to destroy the defender. After that, all that remained was to dismantle the vehicle depots with a cannon. On my way back, I thought that the 2 shards near Port Maris could use new ammunition. Port Maris was the closest base for a return, so I set course for the city. An enemy jet fired an AHR at me, but it was easy to avoid the incoming missile, so I could continue the approach to Maris helipad. The idea was to supply the 2 corvettes with new ammunition with a Tarantula. The Tarantula can carry 2 naval containers for this purpose, which I wanted to drop next to the shards. Shards can help to fend off incoming cruise missiles and provide good radar coverage. In the meantime, the game has progressed so far that the atmosphere was enriched with pile drivers, some with nuclear warheads, so it was quite a good idea to supply the shards. Unfortunately, I misjudged my approach to the shards and flew a lot too far. So I turned around to get into position for the drop of the containers. After dropping the first container, I wanted to maneuver the Tarantula to the second corvette. Apparently, shards can't really fend off incoming pile drivers. Maybe I was a little too late at my destination, maybe I shouldn't have approached the shards at all. I'll keep trying and get back to you when I've made significant progress. Until then, I wish you a lot of fun trying it out for yourself and say goodbye with the usual fly safe.